go! Greetings, I am Lies and I use she, her.
And I'm Scandal and I use they, them.
And let's play a game together! Alrighty. It's time, my friend.
Is it time? Do we still have the rockin' music?
We do. It is intense.
Good. Alright.
And the parents, they gotta be listening to their tunes.
They do. The car glides up the ramp to the freeway. John Seo is mashing the buttons on his Game Boy Advance like his life depends on it.
A dissociation.
You've been playing that the entire day. It's my turn. Wait, just 5 more minutes. You said that 20 minutes ago. You have to be this level.
Excuse me, I'm Lies. I do that.
Yeah, you've done that to me several times.
Mom, do you want to let me play on the Game Boy even though he said he would?
Why don't you look outside at all the trees?
Why do I have to do that when June gets to play Sonic? That's not fair.
It's not normal for a girl to like video games that much. None of our friends' daughters play games. There must be something wrong with your hormones. We should go see a doctor. Oh dear.
I don't need to see a doctor. There's nothing wrong with liking games.
Oh, that's intense. You will fit your gender role or else.
Yeah, I had...
Yeah. Yes, there is. It's not natural for a girl.
It's called a Game Boy, not a game girl.
Ha ha ha! Good one.
That's not funny. This isn't fair.
It's just a game. Take it easy. Min wrenches the Game Boy out of June's hands. Before he can stop her, she rolls down the window and chucks it as hard as she can on the freeway.
I was gonna say, that thing's about to be yeeted.
Yeah.
Mom! Look what Min did!
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did what? Did you get the Game Boy back?
I bet you that thing was obliterated.
Oh yeah.
You turned around and got it. The screen was busted though. Once you turned it on, it'd show all this rainbow shit. You couldn't use it at all.
Aww. Why are you so angry all the time? Always breaking stuff.
Because people are stupid all the time.
Because everybody insists that I look like a specific thing and I need to act in a certain... I hated that when I
Because
was a
people
kid.
are trying to control me and I have no freedom. And since people, as many schools of thought like to insist, have free choice and it is the thing that makes them what they are, controlling other people is counterintuitive to their natural inclinations.
Stupid all the time.
Just, calm down. Try not getting angry.
I am trying.
Try. Oh no. You don't have to do that. Now, neither of you can play it.
Exactly. Now it's fair. Why should he get to be happy when I can't?
That's one way to think about it.
I mean, the thing is probably, I don't know how much, Hayden connects with the fact of going, my parents literally told me that I couldn't play it because I'm not a
I
boy.
shouldn't like it, and so it shouldn't matter whether I get to play it or not.
Right, so also I could see her going,
at all.
yeah, and her going, but I want to, so because I want to and I can't have it, I would rather it be destroyed because I literally am not allowed to play with it. My parents won't support me.
I'm allowed to, but only if no one else wants to. I'm not allowed to want to and have turns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
June returns to the table with their Happy Meals.
Oh, it's McDonald's. It is a McDonald's, isn't
it
it?
is.
The good morning coffee signs.
Oh,
McCafe.
God,
It says McCafe in the back.
Oh, God.
Actually a McDonald's.
I'm having really unfortunate flashbacks.
Whoa.
I worked at McDonald's for 2 years, so
I
I'm
have never worked in fast food in my life.
Yeah, I've got to tell you that for me especially, working in the back, there was barely anything I really wanted to eat as a result of working in the back of a McDonald's.
That's too bad. I would be so sad working in a place where I was just I love food, and there's you have ruined this food. That makes me sad.
Well, it was also just largely about being just everything was so gross. Because the thing is when you were specifically in the back, because you had the oil boiling all the time, you really did just have this your clothing and your skin.
You just felt disgusting and didn't want anything in general.
Yeah, well, and it was also you got to watch all the food that would go into the fryer, and so I like the McDonald's French fries when they're fresh kind of thing, but it was still really hard to like them even even after I'd worked there for so long. I was just like, oh god. So the biggest thing that I usually ate there was the grilled chicken sandwich, or the salads and like the grilled chicken sandwiches.
So I had one friend that worked there also, and he was like, okay, so after working there for 3 or 4 years, he's like, the only thing I would ever eat there was breakfast occasionally.
Yeah, see, and I couldn't even handle the breakfast.
Yeah,
I was
but
just
I think
like,
he was mostly hash browns.
okay, yeah. I mean,
Heh,
and I
thanks.
liked the idea of the French toast, but it wasn't my French toast. Hayden digs into his box and pulls out his plastic wrapped toy.
Oh no, here it goes again. Ugh, look what I got.
It's a futuristic looking Hot Wheels car sporting translucent ice blue windows.
Yes.
Whoa!
Jun unwraps his toy too. His is a monster truck.
Whoa! That's not bad either. I guess. I don't really get why these things are popular. Hayden, are you up to trading for yours?
Depends what you got.
Min takes her toy out of her Happy Meal. I hated these. It's a Barbie doll. I hated the gendered toys. I would actually... Oh god. I would work with sometimes with like one parent or another when there was a child that really desperately did not want to have a specific gendered toy. Like once in a while, but a lot of times like the adults would be like, it's for a girl, don't do it. And you're like, they want that one though. You just be like, yeah, but you know, I was like, oh, but you know, they could just have it.
See, the times that I've been in line at fast food places that do toys with kids,
especially gendered ones.
I say it had always been a sake of going like, I would always be the adult asshole that would be like, what kind of a toy do you want? And then we would specifically ask for not only a girl or a boy toy, but for whichever specific one they liked on the list. And usually, the workers there were really happy to go, oh yeah, I think we have some of those, and they would dig out specifically the dog or the truck or the whatever Pokemon you wanted.
Because we didn't care.
Yeah.
Whenever I worked there, people were just like, well, you're not supposed to ask for something. I'm like, fuck it, who cares? Like, you have scalpers who would come through all the time and be like, I want to buy out. And you're like, dude, just take what you want.
Yeah, it's
because
like,
somebody
fine.
else is going to ruin it for you, and it's most likely going to be somebody either, like, my age or older.
Yep.
You know?
Anyway, it's a Barbie doll.
Don't want this. I'm gonna ask for a replacement.
Oh,
Poor
very grumpy.
thing.
Aw.
I think you're just marching right up there, so
Yeah,
we're
I
just
say
going to
they-
march.
nope.
Right up there.
Approach the
Approaching
counter. Bye. And then ask for a different toy. We're gonna do it.
Min approaches the counter.
Hey, you! I want a different toy!
I'm sorry, we can't do that.
No, I don't mean I'm trying to get a specific one. I want a boy one, but they gave me a girl toy by mistake.
But you're such a pretty girl. You don't want Hot Wheels.
I also knew some people who would work at places like this too. Who, like, even I worked with them, and they would be like, you know what you're supposed to. And I'd be like, dude, it doesn't matter.
There's also a level of going, you don't want that. You are a kid. You don't understand what you want.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so they might not understand the experience they're going to get from it, but in that moment, they do understand what they want.
Yes.
And they want exposure to it. And even if they don't want it 5 minutes later, they did actually want to hold an experience and learn about it.
Mhm.
And it's like, no, see, you didn't want it. It's like, no, they did. They wanted to experience it, and now they have.
And that's a thing that I think a lot of kids should be able to have. Like, for example, like, I believe very strongly that, like, children are not required to hug relatives or be touched by relatives without their consent.
Yep.
Like, kids should have a choice, and I find it very disturbing. Honestly, even when I was a kid, I did not like being forced into stuff, and it was just awful. And I still am like, I didn't like it. You know,
It
and
didn't
it hasn't.
add to me to have made me hug that person. And I don't think it really made their life that much better to be able to touch me one time when we saw each other.
Right.
Like, because they're like, oh, you'll make her feel bad if you say no. And it's like, okay, but it won't really make her feel good if I say yes. It's just a knee-jerk reaction. You hug people when you see them.
Right? Because that's the culture.
And honestly, she will know me more as a person, this, aunt or grandma or whatever,
Mhm.
if I get to say no.
Yeah.
If she cares who I am.
And
And
I
she
think
doesn't. She just wants to touch you because you're family.
Well, and the thing is like, I think it's really important to encourage kids to have their own boundaries and their own identity. You, believe it or not, are not always going to agree with them, and you don't need to.
Well, and one of the really important things, in reference to, like, just child development, which I like to call human development, people development, is that if you're not taught that you can have boundaries as a kid, you will not have good boundaries as an adult. And it may be awkward for people around you to be like, yeah, this is a weird boundary that my kid has right now based on what most people expect. But if I tell them they can't have it, then they're going to be accustomed. The thing they're going to learn is people around me who are in charge of me get to tell me what happens no matter how I feel.
Yeah.
And it is one of those things that led to when people tried to take charge of me as an adult, if they had any position of authority or domineeringness or something that I felt they could hold over me socially, then I felt I had to listen to them or that they were right. Because I was raised with very poor boundaries.
And that's the thing I was actually going to say for me too, is that I really do not think that people basically, like, having that much control over me ever did me really any good. Because a lot of it really is, yeah, you have a lack of, one, boundaries, and two, you also have a lack of identity. Because you're always being forced to accommodate to other people, and so you're not allowed to assert yourself or people get mad at you.
And just like this, you're being told what you should want, and sometimes what you do want, even if you don't.
And also what you're supposed to be.
Huh, you don't want Hot Wheels?
Yeah, I do. Hand it over. You're getting it.
You're a funny little girl. Oh, and we have to give up because probably there's another customer or something else.
Right, that's interesting.
Damn. Oh, here it is. Scissors?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, there it is. Yep.
Yeah.
What were you thinking? Why did you ruin your hair like that?
That's what you get. And it's not ruined. It's better like this.
What's gotten into you? If you continue like this, no man is ever going to marry you.
Who cares? If I have to have long hair to get married, I don't want to get married. I don't ever want kids.
Her parents furrow their brows in concern. You have to have at least 2 or 3.
I don't think I'd make a good parent. I don't want my kids to end up hating me.
You won't be happy if you don't have kids. You'll get it when you grow up. Okay, so...
What's there to get?
That's me. Like, I never had a desire to have kids as a young person. It was like something that I kind of expected when I was really small, just because you don't know anything else, so you kind of talk about, oh, eventually I'll name my kid this, but it's not something like I wanted or planned about or thought about, and it went completely away by the time I hit, like, 10.
The big thing, yeah, I was about to say, I think for me, I probably actively, compared to you, had way more, basically, plans, but that was because I was raised Mormon, and there's a huge amount of, like, obsession of finding your eternal companion, going to the temple, getting sealed to your family, like, there's a huge amount of,
and the obsession of, like, creating more of your, heavenly family by having kids,
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then also, you're supposed to have more kids, because clearly, you made a deal with your brothers and sisters while you were in the astral plane or whatever, the spiritual world, that you would give birth to them and that they would be a part of your family.
Yep, and so you have to fulfill that deal that you made before you were conscious in this body.
Well, when you were small gods, now you have to be bigger gods and you have to be more like daddy god.
What's there to get? You'll never want to kiss a guy anyway. They're smelly and have gross skin like dad.
Oh. Oh, and Mom just agrees. Mom just agrees.
Because the thing is that you're supposed to get married and you're supposed to have kids,
no,
and
but
people are troublesome.
She didn't defend Dad.
No, she didn't.
She didn't.
Nope.
Well, nobody's perfect. You have to have realistic expectations.
Yeah, I was about to say, you guys probably don't like each other either. It's a basically, we're married because we have to be, and we are the only basically probably Korean
or what have you,
or whatever.
I think I really like the choice of just sort of blacking out the parents' faces because they're not important as characters. So
now they are important because obviously they're here
as characters.
Yeah.
So specifically, they aren't important as characters. They're important as devices. So there's a thing that happens in a lot of visual novels that we've played that I've mentioned before, but I haven't really had a clear way to quantify it because there's this balance between telling enough story and telling too much story and letting the reader get invested in things that the author wasn't really putting there because they were important. This makes it really, really clear that the parents aren't meant to be characters, and for the purpose of this story, they're here to be devices. They're here to be a piece of the experience of the kids. And so unlike in other stories where there's lots of side characters, lots of background characters and stuff, and some of them are very interesting, very striking. They seem like they could have more to them, or that they're really connected to the plot, but then they're just not, and it gets frustrating. This immediately makes it very, very clear what's going on here and where the focus is, and I really like that.
Yeah.
Because for myself, I sometimes have a hard time picking the proper things to care about in stories. And sometimes when it gets to the end, like, if people make those jokes on Tumblr and stuff where they're like, yeah, this one tiny little side character was my favorite character in the whole thing, ha ha ha, I like that gremlin. But if that's actually true, it can be frustrating to see the whole story and go, but their piece was part that I really cared about and wanted resolved as part of the bigger plot because it felt important to me, and I thought the author was going to do that.
Right.
Alright, expectations.
I am being realistic. I don't want someone who's nothing special. I'm pretty awesome, so I should get someone who's awesome too.
Yes! Feeling it. Prince Charming doesn't exist in real life. If you think like that, you'll never find anyone.
And I'll just stay alone.
You can't do that.
Why do you get to decide what happens to me?
We're your parents. You have to do what we say. I get so frustrated when conversations devolve into this. In any kind of leadership, whether it's parenting, whether it's bosses, whether it's teachers, whatever it is. When it's the, I'm in charge, so you have to do what I say, it means you have completely lost the connection with that person in any way.
Yeah.
It means you have lost any level of, like, companionable communication and working together and basically consent to your leadership, because you're just telling them, well, you have to because.
Or even going, hi, we were actually working together. You don't need to have a leader, and an underling position.
Direction, and, in this case, though, I'm specifically talking about leadership because that's the force the parent is invoking.
Yeah.
And because that is, like, parenting is a type of leadership.
No, and I get that. But
yeah.
I always try to think of, like, the things that I always thought about what I liked for what sounded good for parenting more was, like, I'm a mentor or I'm a guide.
Yeah.
I'm not here to be a dominating, like, leader.
Force you into a box.
Right,
yeah.
exactly. I'm here to aid you, and give you...
what I understand about leadership and management from the work that I've done is that's how it should be.
Right.
It is, I'm here to give you greater context. I'm here to have the greater context when you don't have it, so I can direct all of you to get the problem solved quickly if it arises, and then be able to give you bigger context afterwards if it's needed. But you can trust me as a team where if I say, hey, I need you to do this, you go and do it because you know it's not a frivolous task. It's something that will prevent some kind of misfortune or make everything more successful.
Yeah.
And you, as much as possible, just give people direction so they can become more and more independent and successful. And so it's one of those things where the more you equip them with knowledge and context and engage them into caring about their work, the more you're all going to be successful as a team, and you have been successful as a leader when they can essentially lead themselves with each other.
Yeah.
So that. But yeah, same way of what I think about, like, how people should parent.
That makes sense.
It's very companionable. You have to do what we say.
No, it's my life, not yours.
What's wrong with you? What did we ever do?
Probably we ever do
to deserve? Or what did we ever deserve? Yeah, do to deserve to get a horrible child like this?
There's something wrong with her brain. She's so disobedient. She's still playing baseball with all those boys.
What's wrong with that?
Okay, another thing I'm going to say, and I've said this to, like, multiple, like, younger cousins and younger relatives and things, or people who have the younger ones, in reference to them, not to them, kind of thing, of going, if you're not going to want the kid to do it later, don't let them do it now. And I don't mean that in a controlling kind of way, but I mean, if you have a 2-year-old...
It sets an expectation.
It does, and they're allowed to play baseball, but they're not going to be allowed to play baseball when they're 5 or 10. If they love it, you need to... There's a reasonable expectation they're going to want to keep doing it. And so it's the sort of thing, or going, if you think it's really, really cute to put, like...
Or it's like the thing with you have a dog, and people go, oh my god, I love it when my puppy barks at me. Like, there's some people who go, god, I have this really quiet dog, I just don't know what to do.
I need to teach them how to bark. Poor puppy doesn't know how to bark.
Right. And then later, when they get older, I've just run into so many people going, god, this dog will not shut up. And you're like, yeah, because you taught them to bark.
You worked really, really hard to teach them how to bark, and now that it's not a cute, tiny puppy behavior that you're engaging with, you don't like it anymore. And it's that kind of thing. It's going, if the kid hits but they're not very strong, then so you just let it pass, they're going to get stronger. And again, I'm not talking about controlling people here in I will force you to stop.
It's about setting expectations.
Communicating and setting expectations. If this is something that isn't going to be allowed in your life, your culture, your family, don't allow it previously.
Like a really fun one, a really, like, benign example, I want to say, relatively. Like, I've seen some adults get weirdly pissy about it,
Okay.
but like when little kids go, I need to go to the potty,
Okay.
right? And so the adult teaches them basically this, so they have a set of expectations like, okay, we're gonna go to the potty, and the way that they repeat themselves over and over and over again, and the little kid will go, yeah, I'm gonna go to the potty, okay, I'm going to the potty, and they just keep going, and the parents start getting pissed, kind of thing. Like, I've watched parents just get annoyed and go, you don't, stop saying that, it's fine, I know, honey, it's yes.
But when they're trying to teach them, they repeat it 100 times, so the kid learns it that way.
It's kind of like the same thing also where, like, again, I'm not saying that it always happens this way, but I've also seen some adults get really angry, and I've been around a lot of adults who have little kids, but, like, they just get deeply frustrated in this way of going, like, the child will not stop saying goodbye, because you insisted over and over and over again when they were like, this little, say goodbye, no, say goodbye, honey, say wave your hand, say, and then as soon as they start getting older and they connect to the fact that that's what you do, air quotes,
but then
because
they
you
model
only
it.
do it with them,
But then they model it in the way you talk.
and then the parents get pissed. Do you see any other girls doing that? Do you want to be some kind of weirdo?
But June gets to. How come I don't get to?
June is a boy. You're a girl. What part of that don't you understand? Are you brain damaged?
This is so intense.
That's stupid. It's not fair. That's reality. The world is not fair. This isn't some fairy tale. You have to accept it or you're stupid.
I won't accept it. I won't ever accept it.
So stupid! We really do have to take you to a doctor now! You have mental problems, brain damaged, retarded!
You're the one who's retarded! I hate you! Go to hell!
Oof. Oh
There is
my
a small
goodness.
statue sitting on the living room shelf. Min's dad picks it up and hurls it at her.
Min!
Min dodges. The statue strikes the glass table, coffee table behind her, shattering the glass into 1,000 pieces on the floor. Min was expecting the shards to be all sharp and jagged, but instead, they look like icy slush.
You were asking for it.
Junseo has started crying.
Stop it! She's sorry! She's sorry! Stop!
Shut up! He grabs Jun's arm. Min lunges at her dad and bites down on his wrist. Ah!
Holy crap.
He lets go of Jun. Min throws a punch, but he catches it with his hand.
He's so strong! I hate this! I hate this! I'll kill him if it's the last thing I do!
That was really intense.
I'll kill him. I'll save all of us. I'll wait until he's asleep and slit his throat. You can't. You'll go to jail. I don't have a choice. I don't want to hurt anyone, but I want to be happy too. If Dad dies, we won't have enough money to live. Then Mom will get a new husband. Maybe this time we'll get a normal one who doesn't go crazy and break everything. Dad only does that when he's mad. You knew he'd lose his temper if you kept saying things like that. You should have just apologized and said you were wrong. But it wasn't wrong!
Okay, that is exactly the abusive narrative that I have, like, personally been exposed to in my real actual life. Of going, well, if you don't piss them off, they won't act like that.
Yeah.
So it is your fault that you are getting abused or that you cause the abuser to get set off. This is very real.
Yeah.
And more intense than I was expecting.
Yeah.
It wasn't wrong. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it does. I'm not gonna say it was wrong when it wasn't. You're so stubborn. Don't you get it? There's no way to win against him.
I had a friend who was like this, with her stepdad. Mm-hmm. One of my best friends. I say one of my best friends because I had a cycle of one at a time. As I was a kid, through like 4 altogether.
Right.
I was gonna say, I probably remember all of their names actually if I thought about it, starting with like 1st grade. Anyway, it was one of those things though where like her mom would be like, you just need to apologize, and she'd be like, but I'm not wrong, or I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And she'd be like, it doesn't matter, if you apologize it will be over. And it was really this level of, if I apologize, I will not be a real person anymore. And
Yeah.
I will be a liar, and I will be enforcing the lie. But everybody else going, if you just fucking say it, the danger will go away. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And then some level of, going, but why is the danger there in the first place in our house?
Right.
And it really was, this, like, whole family was just like, yeah, you just don't really talk about the fact that, Dad's abusive. And you just kind of tiptoe around it. But she just wasn't having any of it. Even at, like, 14, she's just like, this fucking sucks. And was a lot like, this.
There's no way to win against him. The more you argue, the worse you're making things. You have to learn how to pick your battles like me and Mom. Why do I have to be the one who has to be mature? It's not fair. I'm a kid. He's supposed to be the adult.
Yes.
I don't deserve to be treated like that. Yes. Dear fucking
You know
God.
what I also appreciate? That this is dialogue written for kids. Over and over again, we have criticized dialogue written for kids because it seems way freaking dumbed down
Yes.
when kids are young. This is really well done, and I appreciate that.
Yes.
This is exactly the kind of shit that I remember from, talking to people in 1st and 2nd grade and stuff. Like, you do not pull your punches, and you're not stupid.
Yeah, the big thing is really, kids are incredibly capable of composing sentences and putting things together. And yeah, sometimes they bend or they break grammar rules, but honestly, so do adults all the time.
Well, and occasionally they don't understand a lot of times they don't understand the fullness of the situation, but
they
they
miss the
understand
context, which
what
is
they
fine.
mean. They definitely understand within the realm of the information they have.
Yeah, exactly.
This is great.
I don't deserve to be treated like that. If he can't control himself, he shouldn't be allowed to have kids. You can think about some other time when he's not about to blow up. Just act like you're sorry. Rather die! Look, this is just common sense. Why don't you get it? Just keep your head down and act normal until you're old enough to get out. Screw that! I shouldn't have to worry about any of this in the first place. I'm not letting him treat me that way, like some wimpy sissy. There's a fine line between bravery and stupidity. I'll walk that line. No, you have to learn. I have to learn? I didn't do anything wrong. He's the one who should learn. We already went over this. You're a coward. You're an idiot. I don't understand you. Good. I don't understand you either.
Why are you so angry? Like I said, because your house is violent.
Yeah. Min sulks on the bleachers as Jun and Hayden's team goes on defense.
How can they stand how unfair everything is? It's so obvious. They're just dumb. There's something wrong with the world.
I'm impressed, honestly, that Min basically didn't take sort of the victim mentality, because a lot of children really are inclined to, in my experience. It doesn't mean that it always happens, but there is that thing, especially even for me, of where you go, I have to be wrong because the world can't be that fucked up. My parents cannot be wrong. My brother cannot be wrong.
So I was gonna say, I think, based on my upbringing, I think that is part of the indoctrination of being raised in religious families.
Yeah, probably.
So the kids that I knew that were poor and disadvantaged and had broken families like me when I was a kid, the ones that were not raised aggressively Christian or some indoctrinated faith that you just have to trust and believe.
Just believe in authoritarianism.
As I say, and just if it doesn't work, you still have to. You just have to believe harder. It's your fault. They didn't. They would straight out be like, the world's unfair, my dad is an asshole, I'm 11 years old, and I'm gonna fucking kill him as soon as I can, or run away, or get emancipated, things like that. And they didn't mean the murder thing. I was never around anyone who actually, did assault.
But I do understand, the violence of
I would say,
emotion,
but it really confused me as a kid who was raised as a really strongly indoctrinated Christian, when I had people around me that would say stuff like that, when I was around other kids that were like that, where one of my, sort of close acquaintances, distant friends, was in a group that was made entirely of kids like that, and he would just be like, this is unfair, this sucks, and they would listen to, violent ghetto music, I say in big quotes, because a lot of it was talking about the unfairness and the pain and the torture of things, but it was also talking about being free and having power and having your own independence and being able to make your own choices, kind of thing. And I didn't get any of it because I had been raised and was being raised so heavily indoctrinated. And so when they're like, my parent's an asshole, I just went, you can't say that. Or that can't be true, I'm sure they mean the best for you. And they're like, no, they don't. So it really is, I don't have statistics for this, but based on my own one point of example of my own upbringing, I would just say the kids who weren't religious were free to hate their parents and say my parents are bad people, and the kids who were religious never said that ever until they reached their late teens.
Yeah.
And that was so I understand where you're coming from, but I think probably that is based on where she comes from.
I mean, and honestly though, that's true. The late teens thing was completely me. I mean, I was the kid who eventually I ended up having a fight with my mom, and I tried taking down the garage door with the car. Oh my god.
Alright, just, there's something wrong with the world. I'm so mad.
She takes out a pack of seaweed sheets and aggressively chomps on them as she thinks edgy, rebellious thoughts.
Aww, but nori is tasty.
Nori is very good.
Well, I don't need anyone. I'll do everything all by myself. never fall in love. I'll be like a lone wolf. I'll become so happy and successful that everyone who was ever bad to me has to beg on their hands and knees for me to forget them. That'll show them. They'll regret being so stupid and wrong while I was right.
An enemy batter comes up to the plate.
Here it is.
Oh my god. Holy shit!
It's a girl with the eyes of the color of desert camouflage.
Oh,
That's so
cute.
mad.
That's adorable.
Oh my god,
But that's so character.
It is.
So I gotta tell you, again, the thing that makes me so grouchy about so many, basically, Otome games is that, well, like, especially they'll go, I'm doing a first-person perspective. I'm like, no, you're not.
So I know
Like-
exactly what my friend's talking about here, and
Ah.
it's so good. When people want to describe other things and they're in a first-person perspective, they need to use descriptives that the person whose eyes you're looking through would use.
Yes.
And all the time, they'll divert into other specific flowery prose or into, really like very pretty or interesting descriptions or extreme, like extravagant words or whatever it is. Things that the character would never say or care about or notice.
Yeah.
And going, this feels very like something men would say.
Yes.
Men would go, that is a color I know, and I love that freaking color.
Right.
Instead of going, a deep sandy brown kind of thing, which is not some kind of shit she would say. And so, yes, this, good, exactly.
Yeah, I really like that though. I'm like, that's character. The boys seated next to Min are murmuring and pointing at the batter.
Hey, look, it's a girl batting.
Aye, but it's a girl batting in the next one!
Hey! Next one, I'm so excited for this.
Yes.
I am so excited for this.
Yes, so thank you very much everybody for joining us. If you like what we do, please remember to interact with the video.
Yes.
Like, comment, subscribe, also share our videos. Please also feel free to go check out our Ko-Fi, Patreon, and our Twitch. We have some links in the description down below. And we would love to see you at any of those locations. And I have been Scandal.
And I have been Lies. And it was great playing with you. Bye!